How we doing? It's Mailman Nick. Follow me on Instagram at Nick Venti. If you enjoy this content, please give me a thumbs up. Don't treat me like a 204B over here. And obviously, these are my own thoughts and opinions. I'll not speak on behalf of the Postal Service. So I got a special guest with me. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about your background and your job history?
All right, well, this is Brick.Media on YouTube. So I'm a UPS driver. Been a UPS driver for 10 years. And well, I actually just made 10 years in August. So really good career, really good job. Love my job. Love getting in the trenches, you know. Background, yeah. I've been in logistics for a long time. I drove tractor trailer for 8 years, and I decided, you know, the work-life balance, it was tough trying to stay home and you know, missing stuff with my kids and my wife and all of that stuff. So I decided to apply for UPS. It was a part-time available only, you know, inside / part-time driver. So I say, hey, I'm gonna apply for it. I also had, at the time, this was 2014. At the time, I also had FedEx Freight offer me a full-time position, as well as UPS Freight at the time offered me full-time positions. But I opted for the part-time at UPS, knowing that I was going to have to do other things to supplement my income. But I was willing to take the chance because I understood in the long term it was going to be better for me and my family. So I took the leap in 2014, loaded trucks for a few months. I drove a little bit, and here we go. 2024, been driving for 10 years. I love it, have my own route, and it's lovely. I love my job. I mean, that's really all I can say, really.
Yeah, so you started off as a driver, but it was part-time. You didn't start off at the warehouse?
Yeah, it's the position is actually called TCD, a temporary cover driver, right? So basically your primary job is you're working inside. So I was a preloader. So I worked on a preload sort. We started like at 2 a.m. and we'll finish like at 7 or 8 a.m. And so that was my primary job. Now, if they needed me to drive, they'll let me know a day ahead, like, hey, tomorrow we need you to drive. So I wouldn't report to the preload sort. I would just show up at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning to drive. So that was my primary job. If they needed you to sort, you had to sort because that was your primary position. If they needed you to drive, you could drive. Now, the pay, it was inside pay when you worked inside. At that time, it was $10.50 an hour, right? And driving, when I drove, it was $28.50 an hour. So obviously, I wanted to drive as much as possible. But I loaded trucks for a few months. Drove once or twice a week, you know, had a good balance until I learned more routes and it needed more cover drivers in the workforce. And so I drove more, ended up learning a whole bunch of routes, and I got promoted to full-time driver a year and a half later. It took about 20 months to get full-time. And so I did not have to go back and work in the warehouse. But as far as working in the warehouse, it was minimal. It was a few months. Really, it wasn't even every day out of those few months. I know I have colleagues that worked in the warehouse 8, 9, 10 years before they was able to drive. And I was faced with the reality like that could happen to me. But I hustled. I got in there. I went to different centers like within our building to try to see if they had routes available for me to work. I was in different centers running stuff around town, and until my manager was like, hey, we need you to stay here. We need you to drive here. So he kind of stopped that, and he was able to put me on some routes, and I learned a lot of routes, man. But it was tough early on, but I knew I wanted the long-term benefits. So I said, you know, I just need to stick around, do what I have to do in order to stick around so I can, you know, make full-time and then eventually get my own route.
Right. That's awesome that everything worked out for you. Because, yeah, some people have to wait years. Like with the post office, some people are part-timers for a long time before they get their own route. So that's good. You saw the long term. That's what people don't see. They don't put in the grind like year and a half, and then all of a sudden you got your own route, and now you're, you know, are you at the top of the pay scale? That was my next question. How's the pay and the benefits of UPS?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll start off with the pay. Well, you know, we'll start off with the benefits. The benefits, the part-timers as well as the full-timers, we get the same benefits. Like if you're a part-timer, your copay might be $10. You go to the doctor, you might pay $10. Full time you'll pay maybe 20. Prescription drugs, like we don't pay more than $5 for prescriptions. It doesn't matter what it is, unless it's, you know, some higher end stuff, but then they pay a percentage. But for the most part, anything you like go to CVS or Walgreens and get, you'll pay $5. Vision and dental, they pay a lot of that. Like you don't really pay much as far as your co-pays and stuff like that. And as far as the premiums, we don't pay a premium. So you have access to the PPO coverage. As long as you get an in-network doctor or office, you know, you're going to pay minimum, you know what I mean? And we don't pay for the insurance. We have union dues. I want to say right now it's like $27 a week. So if you multiply that times 4, you know, a little bit over $100 a month, our union dues, of course you have to pay that. But as far as the benefits, I covered the insurance, dental, medical, vision. Now, we have a pension, and we also have a 401k if you want to opt into the 401k. 401k, when getting that, it's like regular 401k, but UPS does not match any part of the 401k.
Oh, okay.
Right? They do offer us a pension with the union, and so you'll get a pension, but your 401k, there's no match. So whatever you put in there, it gets invested, and you get your returns based on that. But I know a lot of employers now not offering pensions. So UPS, they still offer the pensions, and it's pretty decent. I have a buddy that just retired, and I want to say he did 33 years. His pension is around $3,600 a month. And then they'll take out his insurance, because once you retire, you have to start paying for your insurance. But yeah, that pension check is nice. And on top of his 401k, whatever you have saved up, it's pretty good, you know? Yeah. So that covers pretty much the benefits, right? Mm-hmm. Now, as far as the pay, I started driving in 2014, started with the company in 2014. I made full-time April of 2016, right? So it took me almost 2 years to make full-time. As a TCD, I was a part-time driver. So once I make full-time, then my 4-year progression starts, as far as from not being at top pay to making top pay. So you have 4 years from the time you make full-time. So I made full-time in April, was either March or April of 2016, right? So I was able to hit full-time March, April of 2020. So I've been at full-time at top pay for 4 years now. So whenever you make the full-time driver, it starts the 4-year progression. And if you come in as a TCD like I did, when you drive, you get 85% of top pay, right? So 85% of top pay right now, I want to say, is around $37, maybe $38, because top pay right now is like $45.01 right now for the southern region. I'm in Texas, so we're at $45 right now. And so like all the TCDs that's coming in, they're driving, getting 85% of top pay, which is really good.
That's nice.
And they'll stay at 85% for the 4 years. Say you get a TCD spot right now, you're at 85%. And of course, our top pay keeps going up. So the 85% keeps going up. And so they have 4 years, and in 4 years, they'll top out.
Geez, that's really nice. The post office, a lot of carriers are envious of UPS drivers, because you guys are, you know, obviously things are different, but you guys get really nice pay. So that's, you know, top out of 4 years.
Yeah, it's really good pay. The thing is with UPS too, and I talk about this a lot on my channel. They make sure you have the work. You go out there, you know, you're not going to go out with, say, 2-3 hours of work. It's not going to happen. Yeah. If you go out that light, they're going to expect you to help people, right? Multiple drivers. So my route, I've been on it a few years, and it's a good mix of residential, a little commercial. I have some retail, one apartment complex. It's not a bad route at all. I really have no reason to leave that route, but I'm going to pretty much get an 8-hour day every day. You know what I mean? Heavier days like Wednesday and Thursday, I might hit 10 and a half, maybe 11 hours. But they make sure, you know, the pay is great, but they make sure that you're going to work for it.
You earn it.
You're going to have a lot of furniture delivering and stuff like that. They're going to make sure you earn it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are the hours like? Because at the post office, when you start, you're going to be working like 60, 65 hours. How are the hours? Like, do you have like an overtime list? Do you sign something where you could get more overtime? Are you always working a lot of hours, or are you just getting your 40 and going home, being at top pay now and having your own route?
All right, Nick. Yeah, that's a really good question. All right, so it's by default, right? At UPS, by default, you're going to get overtime.
Yeah.
Right now, if you don't want as much overtime, you can get on what we call a 9-5 list. That stands for 9.5 hours, 9.5, right? And so you have to get on that list. You have to sign that list and to get on it. And they have to make sure that you stay under 9.5 hours. Now, 3 days out of the week, if you go over that 9.5 hours, say they load you up to where you finish in, say, 10.5 hours. 3 days out of that week, then you can file a grievance. And anything over those 9.5 hours, you get triple pay.
Nice.
So you pretty much have to opt out to the extreme overtime, right? Now, I have been on a 9-5 list before. I normally don't get on it because, like, I don't mind. If I have a 10.5 hour day, I don't care. I have a 10.5 hour day. If I really need to get off early, I request an 8-hour day, and they have to grant us that twice a month max. I have to get off early, but as far as the hours, we start kind of late, man. We start, and I'm not sure the post office what time you guys start, but like we really don't get on the street till like close to 10 o'clock.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so we have to try to bring the pickup volume back by 7:30 p.m. so they can start processing that at night. So if you're out after 8:30, then you have to get someone to pick up your pickup volume and bring it back in if you do have pickups. But yeah, we get started kind of late because I believe our plane doesn't land closer to like after 7 o'clock. So by the time we get that air volume to the building, so they kind of work it to where, but I wish we could leave earlier. Mondays we leave a little earlier because
The
the plane
volume.
comes on Sunday. I believe it comes Sunday, so the air volume is already there. So we leave a little earlier on Monday. But yeah, as far as the hours, you're looking at about. I work 5 days. I'm Monday through Friday. I can work Saturday. I normally don't work Saturday, and I mean I could do 10 hours a day. Easy. You could do 10 hours a day easy at UPS.
Right, because the volume's there and
Yeah.
the work is to be done for sure. What would you say is the most stressful part of the job? What would you say is the most stressful part?
Dealing probably well, I'm in Texas, and I talk about this a lot on my channel. A big thing for me is dealing with the elements of the weather.
Yeah.
It being hot, we don't have AC. We have fans, but we don't have AC. So dealing with the extreme temperatures in Texas, that's probably the biggest thing. And the workload, it stresses a lot of people out. The workload stresses a lot of people out. And you combine those two things, you get a little
Recipe for disaster.
frustrations around. Yeah. You get a lot of people upset about certain things, and I get it for the most part, but probably the biggest challenge is probably the weather. Now, if you're in the Midwest where it's a little cooler temperatures, I know you a little northern United States. I'm sure y'all have your extreme weather as well. But yeah, the workload can get taxing, even when it's not peak season. You could get slammed with 11, 12-hour day, and it gets overwhelming for some people.
Definitely.
I actually like it. I mean, I like the challenge. I look at a bricked out truck. That's what we call it. And I look at it as money, I'll do one package at a time, one stop at a time. We'll get it done eventually. And, it is what it is. But the job security is there. But I understand people do get overwhelmed, but the biggest challenge for me, like I said, probably is the extreme weather. But, you learn to manage that over the years, right? And, sometimes the workload could be challenging. But, yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, you usually get you build this quality to adapt. Like any type of workload, you eventually, I'm going to get through it. I've been through the worst days. That was going to be my next question. How are you guys' peak season? How crazy does it get during peak season for you guys?
Yeah, so it gets crazy, but I'm going to say the last 3 seasons hasn't really been that bad. And I'm going to tell you why. So we hire SSDs, seasonal support drivers. That's what it stands for. And these are basically people that deliver out of their own cars, right? And so they hire as many of those people as they can to kind of help with resis and stuff like that, right? So that takes work off of us. And we also have driver helpers that ride on the car with us. That also helps. And they hire seasonal drivers that are actually going to drive package cars or rentals. They go through the driver training and all of that stuff, and they actually help us. So, I mean, the last 2 peak seasons, so peak of 23 and peak of 22, I actually worked the least amount of hours, you know what I mean? Just because we have so much help, So
Right.
if UPS does it right and gets us the help that we need, I mean, volume could be up, but the last 2 seasons, volume's been a little down from, say, around COVID or even pre-COVID. But we had a lot of help the last 2 seasons. And so hopefully that's what ended up happening this season. We get a lot of help so that way we're not working 12, 13 hours a day, But
Exactly.
yeah, peak season is crazy. I mean, people get overwhelmed. A lot of times those SSD drivers, they don't make it, or if they get in a crash, they go ahead and get them out. Or, a lot of people not used to the workload, like, hey, here's 50 resis, we need you to deliver it in the next few hours. And a lot of people not used to that. So a lot of the SSDs will quit, or maybe get in a crash, or they just won't make it. Some of the seasonal drivers, they don't pan out. So sometimes we end up getting closer to Christmas with our workload, and it gets a little heavy for us. And then, but if they give us the help like they have been, I think we'll be fine. But yeah, peak is crazy. That day after, the week after Black Friday. So like that Tuesday, Wednesday after Black Friday, that's when it really, really hits us.
Picks
And,
up.
it gets real.
Yeah, that's how it is out here. Once after like Thanksgiving, Black Friday, then we're coming in at 6 a.m. We're doing parcel runs and all that good stuff. One more question I was going to ask you. When UPS was going to go on strike last year, were you worried that you weren't going to get a good contract, or you have a lot of faith in your union that you were going to get a good deal?
Yeah, that's a great question. I had a lot of faith in the union. That union corporation, it's a weird relationship. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wants to win. At the same time, they're partners, right? And so it was a lot of back and forth. I was confident with the union that we would get a good contract. There's a couple of things I didn't really, too much care about that the union was asking for. So, but that's everybody. Everybody's gonna have their own opinion. But yeah, I was pretty confident. We got the AC, put in all the new trucks that were built in 2024. They have to put AC in. I mean, it has to be so many trucks out of the fleet. They made a promise to do. So I'm sure those will start rolling out here probably next year. But yeah, the AC was a big thing. There was a lot of chatter about. It was as far as the overtime, the forced overtime, because like I said, like you get overtime by default. And, a lot of people file grievances when they are getting too much overtime or they feel overworked. And so we have those protections that the union fought for, which I like, because I don't want to be forced to, to do the overtime, even though I don't mind the overtime. I just don't want to be forced to do it. So I think that was a big thing too with the work group. And yeah, I was confident with the union. Union leadership is, we have our criticism of them, just like we have criticism of, UPS management sometimes. But, when it was all said and done, I think they did the right thing. We got a really strong contract. And of course, nobody wanted to go to strike. Like, I don't care who says that, hey, we're ready to go to strike. You're not really ready to go to strike. No one's ready to go to strike because it doesn't help anyone, in my belief,
Yeah.
So everyone suffers, and I'm glad we did not go to strike. And hopefully in 2028, it's we're not going on strike.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, the next contract will be up. I'm sure they'll start negotiations early 27. But yeah,
yeah, that's
we got a
awesome.
good contract. I like it. Yeah, it's a good contract.
Yeah, you guys got what you deserved. I was happy to see that. Unfortunately, us carriers, with our contract we kind of got a slap in the face. Unfortunately,
I heard about it.
thing.
I have a couple USPS friends out in my area, and I talk to them, all the time, and they kind of keep me up to date on stuff when it comes to the post office, and Yeah, it's unfortunate. And just hopefully, you know, you guys get what you deserve. I mean, not just now, but
in the
in
future.
the future years. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, um, keeping the workforce intact is important, and we have a vital job. It has to be done. It's not an easy job, um, but we should definitely be compensated and taken care of as such.
Right. Blue collar workers, we should be getting paid, a decent livable wage. We shouldn't have to be working like I'm working 60, 65 hours just to, make a decent wage. So, because I'm not
Right.
at the top of the pay scale and it takes,
Mhm.
over 10 years to hit the top pay for us. So they should definitely change that, hopefully in the future. But with this contract, doesn't look like it. Anything else
Yeah.
you'd like to add? Anything where people could find you? Any advice for people wanting to join UPS and any of that stuff?
All right, yeah. So if anybody that wants to join UPS, right now is a weird time. It's not a lot of job postings. They take a lot of the seasonal stuff down, and then when they say they need more seasonal, they put it back up. But as far as if anybody want to get in, like the seasonal stuff is cool, right? But when you talk to people that really want to work for the company, obviously you want something permanent, right? So like after peak season is over, like the permanent positions, if they need staffing, they'll pop up. Just keep checking upsjobs.com. And I just tell everybody, like, try seasonal to kind of try it out and see. I have a driver helper with me right now, and he's like, yeah, I want to drive one day, but he might get on the car and realize, hey, this might not be for me.
Mhm.
And so it's not for everybody, just like every job, right? Um,
Exactly.
it's a lot of hard work and it's very demanding. They need you to come to work. They wondering, hey, why are you calling in? Um, we need you. And so yeah, I mean, like it's a different job. People see the pay and they think like, oh yeah, well, like we see a lot of people come and go, even drivers that's been driving for years, maybe 8, 9 years, they might tap out just because, they didn't had enough, you know what I mean? And that's fine, right?
Right.
Um, but yeah, so upsjobs.com, they won't post anything if they don't need anybody. You know what I mean? So like try to get inside first, work the warehouse, see how you like it. And then kind of, that's probably the easiest way to go drive. And if you do want to drive or work in the warehouse, even if you want to go into management, start in the warehouse. And then when they ask you, hey, you want to join the management team, like they'll have a pathway for you to go into management if that's what you want to do. A lot of people don't want to do it. I get it. But if that's what you want to do, they have that pathway as well. And but yeah, I help a lot of people get on. I give advice on my channel, Breakdown Media on YouTube. Also, Breakdown Media, I have a TikTok. It's Breakdown Media, and Instagram as well, Breakdown Media. I help a lot of people on my YouTube channel, where to apply, what to expect, driver training, like how you show up, what you have to do, or what you have to learn, the safety stuff, because I'm also a safety co-chair in my building. So we do everything when it comes to safety. We do activities and all of that stuff, right? So yeah, that's where you find me on social media. I'm mainly on YouTube, but I also have the Instagram and TikTok, Breakdown Media on all of those platforms.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna link your stuff in the comments of this video for sure. Breakdown Media, I appreciate you coming on, and you're welcome anytime.
Hey, I appreciate it, Nick, man. Hey, glad to be here. Glad you had me, and we'll be talking soon. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, for sure. All right, take it easy, everybody. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.